Thanks for stopping by today. Got an exciting project for you today. We're going to do a teacher appreciation project. I've collaborated with 3 other YouTube content creators, and all of us are going to do just a slightly different project. The links to those videos are going to be in the description of this video. A shout out goes to Addicted to DIY, Malone Custom Designs, and Things Katie Makes. Those are the 3 content creators that I've grouped up with, and what we're going to do is we're going to release these videos pretty much all at the same time within a day or two, and that way you can see 4 different projects. I'll give you some ideas, those kind of things. My project's going to be a notepad holder, and what we're going to do is we're going to mix laser and sublimation to make a really cool little gift for your favorite teacher. We're going to start in LightBurn. I'm going to do the design. We're going to cut that out. We're using Unisub today. I'll go ahead and put the link to that material in the description below. Once we get our design done in LightBurn, we're going to export our SVG over to Affinity Designer, drop in some graphics, and before you know it, we're going to have a great little project for you to go ahead and sell to your customers, so they can show their appreciation to all those great teachers out there. Let's go check it out. Okay, we're going to jump into LightBurn. I'm going to show you the elements that we're going to have to generate our design for our cutouts for this Unisub. And the overall dimensions for this little note holder is going to be 4 1/4 wide by 6 1/4 tall. And then the note insert, or the cutout I should say, is going to be just over 3 inches by 3 inches. Most of the sticky notes that you get are right at 3 inches by 3 inches. This is a 3/4 inch circle. That's going to go ahead and make our imprint so we can get our finger in there to reach in and pull out a note. And so this down here is just a guide. It's 3/4 inches tall, and you'll see how I'm going to use that here in just a minute. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and I'm going to place this, snap it right in that corner. I'm going to come over here and grab this, and I'm going to go ahead and just put it in the middle. I'm going to hold down the Shift key, click on the perimeter, and I'm going to vertically center it. Then I'm going to just go ahead and hold the Shift and the Control key down. And let's see, I got to select this first. Then I'm just going to hit the Shift and the Control key and the down arrow, and I'm going to drive that right into that 3/4 inch offset line. Might have to zoom in just to make sure that I can see what I'm doing. Okay, that's done. Now we don't need this anymore. We can go ahead and just get this out of the way. Next, I'm going to take my 3/4 inch circle. We're going to go ahead and snap it. If you have your object snaps on, which is right here, snap to objects, if you have that on, you'll notice that that circle snapped right to the edge. I'm going to just make sure that this circle is in the middle of that smaller rectangle. Hold the Shift key down and vertically center it, which it is. And at this point, I can come over here and I can go ahead and weld. And now I've got my little cutout for my finger. And at this point, we've got our cut file done to go ahead and get this cut out with the 1/8 inch Unisub. So I'm going to go ahead and at this point, I'm going to just select everything and group it. I'm going to come over here and make sure my cut layer, red is cut for me. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I'm in line mode, that my layer is selected. I'm going to come down here to my Unisub, down here to 1/8 inch cut. I'm going to go ahead and assign, and now I've got that in. And we are ready to go ahead and cut this down. Now the other thing that I'm going to do is I need to cut a backer plate. So what I'll do is I'll just get rid of this stuff right here. Don't need it anymore. Gotta ungroup it. Delete, and then I'm just going to take this, duplicate it, move it over, and we've pretty much got our cut file ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and, because I've got cut selected graphics, use selected origin. I am using user origin today in the top left hand corner, and you'll notice when I select both of these, I'm going to give it a quick preview just to make sure it's what we expect. And you will notice that we've got a green dot right up here in the left hand corner. That's where my laser head is going to be when I start the project. I'm going to go ahead and hit send. We'll go ahead and take the default and send it over to the controller, and we'll get this cut out. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just pull the laser head over to a blank area of my Unisub. This is single-sided. I'm just going to put it, I've already focused this is an 1.5" lens. I focused it right to 10 millimeters. And I'm going to go ahead and push the origin button on the controller. That's going to establish a new origin since I'm using user origin. I just set the origin. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the file. File, enter. I'm going to do a quick frame. Okay, we've got the laser. Let's pull this laser head out of the way. First thing I normally do is tap. Make sure this stuff is loose, and you can see that it is all loose, which is good. So I'm going to go ahead and take this out. I have not taken the plastic coating off of this. I'll do that right before I sublimate it. So the plastic coating is still on this Unisub. We'll go ahead and take this out, and it'll be ready to go. And now we're going to go ahead and jump back into LightBurn, and we're going to create, we're going to enlarge the profile of this and generate an SVG and get it ready to be imported into Affinity Designer. Okay, the next thing we've got to do is I want to generate an offset to give us an alignment guide when we go over to Affinity Designer and we print out our artwork and we lay our Unisub that we just cut out on the artwork. I want to have this bigger so I can see it all the way around, and that way it's real easy to line up. Now, if you had a bunch of these to do, you could certainly do the print and cut, but I'm showing you just kind of ad hoc, one-off type of deal. So we're going to select this. We're going to go to offset. We're going to set it at offset it at 0.03. Make sure it's got good sharp corners. We're going to say OK, and we're going to go ahead and select the interior one as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to File, Export, go to Downloads, and just say Outline 2, or Outline 2, and say Save. And at that point, we're pretty much done with LightBurn. So now we're going to go ahead and jump into Affinity and import that SVG, put a small stroke size on it, start dumping in our artwork, and we'll have our sublimation design done before you know it. Okay, we've jumped into Affinity Designer. This is not meant to be an Affinity Designer crash course or anything like that. If you haven't used Affinity Designer before, there's lots of YouTubes on it. It's a great program. I absolutely love it. What we've done is we've generated an 8.5 by 11 workspace here at 300 DPI. I've got all my elements that we're going to use in the design, and what we're going to do is, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to import our SVG that we saved from LightBurn. So we're going to select that, say open. I'm going to come over here to my snapping tool and make sure that it's on, and we just want to make sure that we're in the middle. Left mouse click, and it's going to place it in the center. These two little rectangles that I've got down here are just alignment guides. Now that we've got our SVG imported, we're just going to go ahead and start laying this out. I'm going to grab this and put this here. If we place this SVG in the middle, then when we're dragging in our graphics, they will line up really quickly. We'll go ahead and just take this guy, and I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time here just because you guys are going to get the idea. I'm going to take these little PNG graphics, drop them down, space them out however you think. We'll zoom in here and see, looks like they're fairly straightforward. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come down here, we're going to take Mrs. and drop it in the middle, take Smith and drop it, and that's why I made these two rectangles, so that way you could have your names and they'll center into those rectangles. And at this point, what I normally do is I would go ahead and let's assume for a minute that we have our layout all done and ready to go. You can tweak this, you can make sure that all of this stuff is aligned. And at this point, you're ready to print it out. But before you print it out, we've got to turn off these alignment rectangles. Otherwise, you'll see all this red. So we're going to come over here and turn off these two alignment rectangles. And at this point, we want to make sure that this interior is shut off as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click the outline SVG that we imported. And we'll double click it here. It'll take us to a different tab. We're going to go to this curve and we're just going to go to the stroke and make sure that it's all the way down. And then if we go back to the design, you can see that it's gone. And now we're ready to print it. So at this point, what we're going to do is I would go ahead, put the sublimation paper in my sublimation printer and go ahead and print this out. And once we get it printed out, I'll show you what we do next. Okay, we've got that printed out now on Unisub paper. I've got an Epson ET15000 is what my Unisub printer is with Cosmic ink. Works great. You'll notice that I've got a perimeter here, just a faint red line. I've got the design mirrored. I want to make sure that you do that. And so what we'll need to do now is this Unisub, it has a plastic kind of a coating on it. So you want to make sure you take that off. And all that's doing is that's keeping this Unisub nice and clean, getting ready for the press. So we're going to remove this plastic off there. If you forget, it'll be a mess. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this and I'm going to flip it over face down. And I'm going to get this lined up. And you'll see here in just a minute how handy these red lines come in to effect. So just going to get that lined up. And you'll see that this red line that we grew just a little bit in LightBurn is all the way around the perimeter. Ooh, I just messed it up. Get it lined up again here. But this way, you'll be assured that that graphic you've got is going to be right on the money. And so it's a great way to do things. I've never had a problem when I do this. So you just offset it a little bit, make sure it's just faint. You'll never see that red line. It's not going on part of your Unisub in any way. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up, make sure it's real good. Then I'm going to tape it to the paper. And then we're getting ready to go ahead and press this. Okay, I've got a piece of blowout paper on the very bottom. I've taken and I've turned this Unisub over. So the pattern is on top. I've got my temperature at 400. I've got my timer set at 60 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and put out another piece of blowout paper on top. And then I always usually like to put just a Teflon sheet on top of that. And then we're going to slide this in and press it for 60 seconds. Okay, here we go. This is one of my favorite parts of dye sublimation work, is the results on this Unisub. We're going to pull it out. Of course, everything's going to be real warm. Take this paper off. And then we'll go ahead and take this paper off. Okay, look at that color. Get this tape off. And there it is. So we'll let this cool, and then we'll put the backer plate on it, and we will have ourselves a really nice little teacher's gift. Again, if you didn't want to personalize this, you could just take these pencils and wrap them around, make a bunch of these. You could use a print and cut feature to make, and these go really fast. This Unisub coating is very durable. It's bulletproof, man. And you know, this is probably one of the easiest things to sub. If you've never dye sublimated before, the Unisub mixed with your laser can really be a lot of fun. And so just wanted to show you this process today. If you like the content, I'd sure appreciate a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd sure appreciate it if you would. And if you have the ability, go ahead and hit that thanks button and contribute to the channel. It's those contributions are the reason why I can make this content. Sure appreciate your time today. Until next time.